Hey everyone, and welcome to Sasquatch Theory. On this episode, I traveled to Cedar Hill, Missouri to interview Douglas, who's had a Mindspeak experience. Throughout the years, I've had some stories about Mindspeak, and I'm becoming a little bit more open-minded to it just because it seems like no one has the answers, and there's a lot of strange phenomenon that's associated with the Sasquatch creatures. So let's go talk to Douglas about his mind-speaking incident and see if we can figure out a little bit more on what's going on regarding the Sasquatch. All right, Douglas, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, and I appreciate you for inviting me out here. If you would, tell me about your first experience, your first encounter, and describe everything in full detail, and let's talk about every single thing that's happened to you.
All right, good to meet you too, man. Pleasure, and it's cool to finally get you out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, my name's Douglas. I'm a old retired guy. I guess from the beginning, because it's a lifetime story. It's been my first exposure, and a lot of your viewers are gonna connect with what I'm about to say. Is about 1972-ish. Momo the Monster. Anybody in Missouri knows Momo the Monster. It was broadcast on Channel 4 News by Betsy Bruce repeatedly because it was deer season. Big hairy guy spotted in St. Charles County. Please don't shoot the big hairy guy. And it went on and on for days and weeks and probably long time. Herb Humphreys even reported. People around the Midwest know these people's names. I was 12 years old at the time, 13, whatever. And, wow. Yeah, didn't know whether to believe it or not. Could be true. But that was when you could believe what was on the news. Well, if the news reported it, it was true. Not like CNN today. Nothing's, you know what I mean? So there's nothing believable. So fast forward to my experience, and the reason why you're out here is my experience, it was over a span of time. It just wasn't one day at a specific time and nothing else ever happened again. It started on a deer hunt in Reynolds County. A really good friend of mine went on a deer hunt in Reynolds County. Hadn't heard from the guy in quite some time. Out of the blue, he called and we were reminiscing about the hunt, and he asked me, I won't tell you what his name is, but there's a lot of people that know him, really close friend of mine. Hey, you remember on that hunt that me and your dad and we went all, and it's like, yeah, I remember. And so we were loading up to leave the RV and truck, and we were leaving camp, breaking camp, getting ready to come home, and heard some knocks. Well, I didn't know what them knocks were, didn't pay attention. Who knows? Cow rattling the fence for all I knew. Didn't know what that was. And would knock a little harder. Well, the knocks got closer. Knocks got louder. Knocks got closer. Knocks got louder. We're in the truck, we're leaving. We left camp. We're not going to be back down there for at least another year, next deer season. November. Years later, 5 years later, he calls and says, hey, you remember we were hunting at camp? I've said, of course I do. That's a very memorable hunt. And you remember them knocks? And I said, yeah, I remember those knocks. What do you think they were? Do you think they could have been an encounter? Got me thinking, well, it could very well possibly be, I guess. I'll look into it. So I did. I looked at BFRO, that's pronounced right? Mm-hmm. BFRO?
Yeah.
BFRO reporting site. You can go on their site and you can look. Sure enough. Mark Twain National Forest is very active. Reynolds County, Missouri is very active. My family's from Reynolds County down south. Very familiar with the place. Big story. Go look it up and research it. yourself. You'll be really surprised on what you read.
What was the story there?
Well, the story was that a farmer, not very far from where we deer hunt, was losing some chickens. Well, he got tired of losing chickens, so he'd set a bear trap up. Well, he caught something in the bear trap, and it was an adolescent Sasquatch. Bigfoot. Don't know if that's what their name they used then was. They didn't know what it was, but it looked like a ape. The BFRO, I think, has a real good description on the entire story. Everybody's scared to death. I guess don't know how to get this thing out of the bear trap. Well, not too long later, here comes Mama Sasquatch. She's trying to get the child. She's trying to control the child. She can't get the child out of the bear trap. Well, not too much longer, here comes Daddy Bigfoot, Sasquatch. He'd had enough. By then, there was highway patrol, there was fire and rescue, there was county officials, and on. And I think the total that I understood was 25 different officials were on the site, and nobody knew what to do. And Daddy Bigfoot had had enough, reached down, grabbed a chain that the trap was chained to, snapped it in half, picked up the adolescent, and took off walking to the woods, never to be seen again. And that was within, I would say, 6 miles of where I deer hunt. And that's Highway H and HH. That area, Clearwater Lake, boat ramp, that area. So a lot of activity. Mark Twain National Forest, huge piece of property. Doesn't surprise me a bit. So that's where this kind of came from the back of my mind to the forefront on these things could possibly be even more real than what maybe I thought they were. Okay, I've never seen one. I don't know. Could be. I wouldn't dispute it, I guess. Wouldn't discount it. We'll see if the facts present itself. I'll make a decision. If that's what happens, that's what happens. Well, I'd had just a fantastic dog. She was just a sweetheart of an animal. Loved that dog. And the dog, about every night, 2 o'clock in the morning, you could almost set your watch by it. The dog would come unglued. She wasn't a vicious dog. She wasn't a mean dog. Never barked. Community dog. Everybody in the whole entire neighborhood just loved this dog. She was just a big old sweetie. And would just run in the house. If I opened the door and said, "Come on, Jip, get in the house," she would run through the door to get in the house and just be scared to death. She would pee, and that's a sign of a dog is petrified when they pee on themselves and they're urinating, that they're petrified. They don't know what to do. And I've raised and handled bird dogs and guided bird hunts, so I know a little bit about dogs. And she would sit in the middle of the floor, get as low as she possibly could, and she would try to look through the walls, and she would go in a full circle until whatever was outside left, and she would not calm down. Nothing I did could get this dog calmed down. Nothing. And it's like something is going on, and I'm going to get to the bottom of this. So I think I let this go on for just a little while longer. So anyway, the first indicator that there was, well, we had reports. There's other people that hunt in my neighborhood, and I'd ask around, "Hey, well, how's your dogs doing? What's your dogs doing? How come your dogs are barking? Whatever." Well, there's a bobcat. We've seen a bobcat on a trail cam. We've got maybe a cougar on a trail cam. We're not sure. And it's like, well, it'd scare a dog. That would probably scare a dog, but I don't think scare a dog that bad. But it could be, I guess. So we'll keep that in the back of our mind. So anyway, and it progressed, and it wouldn't stop. It didn't get any better. And along the way, You couldn't drive from here. I live off the highway 2.5 miles. You couldn't drive from here to the highway without seeing missing animal posters. And you'd even pull in a gas station, there'd be missing dog, missing cat, missing dog, missing cat, missing dog, missing cat. Cat, it's like, where's all these animals? Even the neighbor up the street just bought a house here, just moved here, let their little, I don't know if it was a Pomeranian, I think. And a beloved animal, I'm sure. Love my animals too. Dog just gone, vanished. Opened the door 1 minute, next minute the dog's gone, never to be seen again. It could be a coyote. Well, could be. We'll see. Keep an eye out for coyotes. I'll drop one if I see them. I'm not bashful about killing a predator. I don't want it to bite a kid or something. And and it just got progressively, it seemed worse. And so it's like, I want to know what this dog is barking at. At this time of night, every night, for an extended period of time. So I got a car battery. I got a 2 million watt candle powered spotlight, and I put it by the back door of my garage. The next time she barks, and she barks always that way, and I would notice that the barking would start off in the distance. And there's a creek system that comes this way and goes this way, and then goes up to an old stock pond full of fish, up into another piece of property. And if you really got to thinking about it, you could stay camouflaged and concealed and nobody would ever know that you were there. I mean, nobody. I could do it and you would never know. And this same creek system, if you followed it, you could walk to the big river, which is only a short distance from here, 2 miles maybe. That river system will take you to the Merrimack, 10 miles maybe. Merrimack to the Mississippi, 20 miles maybe, Mississippi River. You go anywhere in the continental United States in a river system, nobody would know you're there. Nobody would ever detect you unless you're on the water in a boat, looking, watching. Pretty good highway system, I'm beginning to think. A lot of concealment. Stuff is starting to make sense to me on where these things are coming, or what's happening, not things, not yet. So anyway, I set up this spotlight. The dog's going crazy. I'm trying to console the dog, get in the house, take care of the dog. Here it is, 2 o'clock, religiously, 2 o'clock. Set your watch by it, 2 o'clock. Dogs are going crazy. Same thing. Opened the back door, went out to the back door of the garage, opened the door, surprise, kick on the spotlight. There's 2 deer in my backyard, and my property has white clover, red clover, a little bit Aspidissia. Used to be an old farm, so it's got some healthy property here. Been manicured for animals, hogs, cattle at one time. Way back, homesteaded, old piece of property. And very healthy for animals. Deer in the yard all the time. But these 2 deer were different. And they were just beautiful. It just, oh wow, spotted deer, man. How cool is this? Almost like a picture. I just love that stuff. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I was told, do not shine that light over here. And it was like the Almighty come down with Moses himself and said there was no mistake on what that voice said. Very clear, very close. And then my encounter started. It lasted about seconds. And my mind turned into a flash drive download of information that was absolutely overwhelming with Mindspeak. And then I was notified. I began to notice. I turned the spotlight off, and immediately started communicating with this Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever name you have for it. His head was as tall as a story and a half. I have a split level house, so his head reached to the eave of the house. He was that tall.
Okay, so at this point, you heard this voice. Was it audible? Could you
Oh,
actually?
very audible.
Was it like in your mind, or could you actually hear it with your
No,
ears?
it was in my mind. It wasn't audible because what I understood, and it was so much information, it took weeks for me to process this. It took weeks for me to understand even, okay, this was a real deal? Yeah, it's a pretty real deal. I'm not tripping. Nope, not tripping. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. It's like, well, how do I explain this to you or other people, what just happened to me?
Okay, so this is important to me. So before we get to the encounter, to where you actually laid eyes on these creatures, what did they tell you? Don't shine the spotlight over here, but what else did you learn?
Oh, the information was incredible. It started a real slow, it was like the download started, so you have Mindspeak now. It's like you downloaded something on your phone. It's like, we got to give you Mindspeak so you'll understand what we're saying. It's like, do I have a choice in the matter? No, you don't. But here you go. You'll enjoy it. And I did. This was awesome, man. It's like, I hope it happens again. I just don't want to get eat by these things. But I don't think that was, I'm trying to be funny. But here's the thing. We had to go through that process before we could get to the next process, which is understanding what they were saying. And it was all Mindspeak. We'll call it Mindspeak. I'm sure the scientist would have another word for it. We weren't speaking. It was all Mindspeak. And I understood every word. It was as audible as me and you sitting here talking and doing this project. It's like, here you go. Here's the information I have for you on this event.
So it's like a knowing.
Yes, you knew exactly, and he knew my response. And it wasn't like he was waiting for my response. He was a step ahead of me. I know I'm reading your mind, more or less. Mm-hmm. Not real deep, but deep enough that he knew that I wasn't going to harm him. That's the first and one thing he wanted to know. It wanted to know. I didn't know till a little later that it was a he and a she, and that needs an explanation too. But we had to go through that before I did understand what and how this was going on. And it was, don't shine the light over here because you're not going to like what you see. It's going to scare you severely, is what I was informed. We weren't talking, but he was telling me. By that, I keep saying he, I don't mean to, but it was a he. That was the male that started the Mindspeak. We're at download, I'll call it download, call it whatever you want. Download Mindspeak, because we had to do that before I would understand anything that they said. Understood it just as plain. Now we're communicating at the speed of, this happened within a minute. This conversation, if you and I were to have it just like we are right now, it's going to take me hours to communicate this information to you. Because that's how slow you and I talk. This thing was downloading information just as fast as it could. And what it needed to know was it was going to be safe. I wasn't going to shoot him. I didn't have any evil intent is what they wanted. I think they wanted to know. I was a good guy. Hey, wow, look at those deer. They're so beautiful. A response I think I got was, you're not going to kill them, are you? And it's like, no, they're beautiful animals. I don't need no meat. I don't need no desire. I have no desire to kill those things. And I had to explain that no, I'm not going to kill them deer. Oh, they're your deer. You brought them with you. No kidding. Well, that's cool. But that conversation happened about is the speed of light, I guess. And all this information did, and that was it was the coolest part of it. Not only was it creepy, but it was cool. It was like I could not believe the intelligence that I was dealing with, and I wasn't the least bit scared. I had Winchester 270, Mossberg 12 gauge, whatever gun you can think of. I got a bunch of them. It just arm's length from me, and didn't even feel remotely threatened. Not even a little bit. Like I would even gonna have to. Now, had I shown some kind of aggression, they would have just left. There's nothing that I could have done, said, or do to these things that was going to harm them. And I knew that. And they knew because they told me that. It's like, this thing's massive. Probably weighs 3 tons, 11 feet tall, 6 feet wide, legs are 6 feet long. Keep this in mind. Remember that part.
Okay.
Massive, just a massive. And what are you going to shoot it with? A pellet gun? Get real. You ain't going to hurt it. You ain't going to stop it. Just going to make it mad. It could smack. They could have taken me at any time, and I would have never known, wouldn't have never known they were there. This giant is 20 feet away. This way. Its mate, that I had no idea was even there, is 15 feet away here. I didn't smell anything. I didn't sense anything. It was like they were projecting stealth or camouflage, or the best camouflage I can think of. They had no idea they were there. And they could have walked up and grabbed me, took me off to, I guess, killed me if they'd have wanted to, but they didn't want to. I knew that right off. You know, that I was safe and we're good, we're talking, I'm a good friend. And then it went, some of the conversation was, how did you catch us? How did you outsmart us? And it's like, I listened to my dog, because my dog's been barking at you for years now, and I just followed what the dog did. And please, don't hurt my dog. If you hurt my dog, I'm going to hunt you down. Because these are family members. These are not just food sources. Okay. All right, we won't hurt your dog. I said, it goes for children. Don't touch any humans around here. It'll be a bad deal. Okay, we won't do that either. And it was like a shopping list of communications on what I expected and what they expected. And I said, you're safe here. I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to tell anybody. You know, we're not going to attack you. I've always realized that this was here, not here, but real.
So you set boundaries and established healthy communication between these creatures, and there was an understanding between you, a human, and these creatures, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call them, and they understood that and respected your boundaries.
Yes, absolutely. And to the point, once that started, once we got that established, then multiple streams of Mindspeak came. Not only was I carrying on a conversation, I got mental pictures, and this hurt, by the way. It wasn't painless. This was hurting my brains. I probably didn't get awarded too much to begin with, okay? But I'm just saying, it was like, and I asked him to quit and stop. It's because I couldn't. I had a massive headache, and it's like, you're doing too much. I can't handle this. Please stop. And it stopped. Well, then and it was funny. The funny part of it, funnier part of it, and another part of it was the chatterbox females chimed in. It must have been one of the questions I had on my mind, or if I ever met one, what would I ask it? What would you ask it? What do you eat? Because you're talking, what could the caloric intake over a beast that weighs 3 tons, 11 feet tall, 6 feet, what does it eat during the day? That's when I realized there was Mrs. Bigfoot. Over here, we eat berries. This is what we do. This is our migration route. This is our hunting land. We're here every other year. We have family members that have come through here. So these are not the first. This isn't random. This is common. They're here all the time. They're still here. I had a Mindspeak incident right before we got a snowstorm here. Probably just right after Christmas, I think. I had a Mindspeak. And it'll come out of the blue. It'll come hard and fast. Hey, we're here. Like, howdy. Hello. Okay. Cool. I'm here too. And if you need, now they're neighborly. If you need something, let me know. It's like, oh boy, here we go. But anyway, back to Mrs. Sasquatch or Mrs. Bigfoot. And I'm in an in-depth conversation with Mr. Bigfoot, understanding, and the download on the Mindspeak, I got mental pictures, and it took a while to develop these mental pictures, but it was like a residual or residue from the experience, from the Mindspeak download, because I must have asked someplace, how long have you been here? And immediately I got a mental picture on like this thing's grandfather, and it had been through here and migrated through here, and it was the family photo album time, and it was like 6 of these things, I think 5 or 6. I think I counted 6. It was the 2 that was here, 1, him being the male being 1, and then I got 5 mental pictures from him that must have, I understood was his family, his father, his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather, generations of how long have you been here? And I got 6. And probably age-wise, they live hundreds of years, not just human years. They have their own dynamic age system, I guess. I didn't quite understand that, but they outlive us by hundreds of years. So that family photo could have represented 5,000 years. I don't know. I just don't know. I could suggest. I thought it meant, well, each of them live 150 years. That's 800 years, 1,000 years. Well, Indians been here 1,000 years. This is hunting, Indian burial ground. There's hunting migration routes here. One of the last Indian uprisings in Missouri is right down the street. I mean, right down the street. The local school used to bring kids out. This was homesteaded property. And there was an old log cabin, one of the last Indian uprisings, because there was arrowheads stuck in the cabin where they attacked the settlers. And they used to bring children from school, and they tore the cabin down now, which is a shame because it's a big piece of history. And it's all documented. It's all documented on how old this property is. And every now and again when I'm walking the property, cutting grass, doing whatever, I'll find an old herb of some kind or something using medicinal. I could probably eat off this property because of the medicinal value of it. And it's like Osage orange. I have Osage orange trees. They use that to make bows and arrows with. Some of the finest, I'm a big archer. I love archery. So, and it's all these pieces of this puzzle, and it's a big puzzle. But anyway, back to Mr. and Mrs. Sasquatch. It was in Mindspeak and it's finally subsided. This happened about 3 years ago. Spring, June of 2021, I think, is when this happened. Because it was just getting spring. The grass was green, the alfalfa and clover was blooming. And I give him permission to make stuff at home. And it's like, okay, we're cool. And they're still here. I had a Mindspeak experience about Christmas. I drove out to Highway 21 and Tower Road. Anybody that knows Jefferson County knows where these microwave towers are. It's Tower Road where AT&T has communications towers. It's a central, it's a very important site. AT&T has, it's one of the biggest fiber optics tower sites, and I know this for a fact. Most of the communications from South America, North America goes through this tower site. Massive amounts of communication. And there's a huge piece of property, 600 acres, I think, is the acreage, but it's pieces. And I would go past there, Mindspeak, to the point it's like, turn the radio up and it's like, okay, I know you're over there. Thanks for saying hello or whatever you're doing. And it would hurt. It would hurt. It hurt your brain. It did mine. It gave me a headache. Because it was just vast amounts of information that was, I wasn't ready for. I don't know if anybody's ready for it, you know. And if I would think that if you went through it, you would, there's no way that my little pea-sized brain could have manufactured any of this. I'm a pretty creative individual. This was not imagination. It wasn't drug-induced. It wasn't anything. This was as real can get. I could not manufacture any of this. And it really struggled with this Mindspeak thing. And it was like, maybe there was an instant it wasn't Mr. and Mrs. Sasquatch back, the two that were real close to me that I seen. Maybe it was another one, I think, maybe, would be a good explanation for me. And I kind of had to go back through the same conversation. Don't hurt my animals. Don't hurt any humans, or I'll hunt you down. And he knew what that meant. And I don't think it was this one. I think it was a different one. But we kind of went, he was informed that if he comes through here, this guy, it's like they're telling their neighbors, okay, you can go on this piece of property, and that guy's really cool. You can go up there and talk to him. He's really neat. He caught us. He's smart. He caught us. Red-handed. Yeah, I caught you. I figured this out, buddy. I'm pretty proud of that. And it really amazed them. That was the highlight of this whole thing, is they were really impressed that I put this together. And I know there's probably 10,000 people out there going, this guy has lost his mind. Okay, well, so did I. Because I told my neighbor, I can just about tell you what he told me. This guy is nuts. I'm not nuts. I'm not crazy. So the next time the dogs are barking, grab your flashlight, come on down, we'll put some barbecue on, crack a beer, and I'll introduce you to them, because they're here frequently. Not as prominent, but I would just about bet you during spring, things are growing, lots of stuff to eat. This is a migration route for them. They know this area and have known this area for a long, long time. So back to the I'm not crazy. I now keep track of Dixie Cryptid. I love his show. I like his How to Hunt out of British Columbia. It's a mess up there, dude. They've got them things. I'm surprised they're not running for public office up there. They must have migrated, the way I understand it, the way I understand it is they migrate weather conditions, people, food sources drive them. Well, like any animal, they're driven by their food sources, water sources, whatever, these things too, population, whatever. I understand that. So they move around a lot. To stay hidden like they are, they have to. Because I think if they stayed in one spot, they would be detected way quicker than what we're seeing them. Two stories that I would relate to validate that I'm not having hallucination is I watch howtohunt.com. You can look him up in British Columbia. He did a story. I believe the guy's name was Jason. Jason wrote in, hi, my name's Jason, did the typical story stuff. Uh, I can't remember. You remember that guy's name? What How to Hunt? What his name is? Doesn't matter. It's not important.
Steve from How to Hunt?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think Steve. So Steve's reading the story. He's reading the email he got. Hi, my name's Jason. I'm from Hillsboro, Michigan. Oh, okay. Hillsboro, Michigan. I'm reading the story. He's a carpenter. Built him a hammock out in his backyard. Bought the piece of property so him and his kid can ride motorcycles. It's like, wow, nice piece of property. And, you know, you're working your ass off, because I know carpenters, they work hard. I'm a skilled tradesman myself. I've busted some sweat in my day. Listening to the story, oh, Steve stops. I'm sorry. Hillsboro, Missouri. Oh, I'm sorry, Jason, you're from Hillsboro, Missouri. Well, I'm in Cedar Hill, Missouri. Hillsboro, Missouri, we can walk there in 5 minutes. It's right there. It's right there. So the description that this guy is given is, I know where that's at. It's a old lake system. The dam broke. All the water leaked out of the lake. The lake's turned back into, you know, undeveloped property, but kids ride motorcycles up there, whatever. And he's describing a lake property. I've been there. If you drive out of here to the highway, you're going to go right past it. I know exactly. So Hillsboro, Missouri. This guy's story, he built a hammock, fell asleep in the hammock. Wife comes out, wakes him up. Honey, you fell asleep out in the yard again, you know. Wakes up, and he's nose to Mr. 11-foot tall Sasquatch. This Bigfoot is now standing at the end of the tree line, which is a very short distance from where this guy fell asleep in his hammock. And he said, the first thing I thought I wanted to do, you can probably go online to How to Hunt and look the story up. I've asked for a copy of it, but he's not gotten to me. I haven't done any more than this for a reason. I would really like to start a study here. If you can continue the work here, I would extend that invitation to you to come out to do more than what we're doing, other than just a story. Because I think it's available, and you and I got some pretty cool ideas on, I think we can document these things, maybe to an extent. Certainly not Jane Goodall level, living in a silverback gorillas in the mountains, but I think we could make a dent in some of this. And so anyway, then we talked about that before we started. I think that's readily available here. I really do, because they're here. There's no doubt about it. But anyway, back to the story, Jason's story up the street. Jason said he would have reached for his 9mm. 9mm pistol against something that's 11 feet tall, probably weighs 3 tons, not gonna do a thing. Trust me, it's probably a pimple on his behind, because these things, this one was so huge and so massive, I would think you're not going to stop them. There's no firearm weaponry that I own that I would even consider as a first. And to me, was no reason to do that. I was not defensive. I didn't feel compelled to go get even a butter knife. It's like, wow, okay, we're good. We're just as cool as we can be. But this guy's response was, if I'd have had my pistol, I would have shot him. It's like, well, what a mistake. Because it was stealing ducks out of the whatever portion of the lakes that still exist. It's like, well, let him have a duck. He's hungry. Let him eat. I'll throw him some apples. I even put apples out for a while, and then was told that that's probably not a good idea to feed them. You probably shouldn't put food sources out. You know, people gift. I get it. My opinion about that is they could mistake that. Now that I think there's probably 3 or more, the encounter I had would have been understand is, I'm Mr. Good Guy, I'm going to help you. But if your family comes through teenage, adolescent, Bigfoot, may not understand, you know what I'm saying? May see you as a food source. Well, I'll just eat this guy. Yeah, I don't want to get these. And it could be. It could be. I don't know. I would like that question answered. If they're, I don't think they're. Now I've heard a lot of stories that they're violent. You can get a bad one, and I wouldn't want to tangle with a man because there's nothing. You're defenseless. You think you've got all the weaponry in the world, and you don't have nothing. You couldn't stop these things with a tank. I'm telling you, you couldn't. And I know weaponry. There's nothing I own that would even, begin to stop these things. So anyway, that was my validation on howtohunt.com had a story of Jason's story. Same description of the one that was in my backyard. Same description. It was within a year of my encounter. So this thing's here. It knows the lay of the land. It's got the topographics down. It knows where to go. It can walk up the creek system, up into the piece of, over to here. We can go do that right now if you want to. We can get in this creek system and we can walk where I would think it would walk. There's houses off in the distance, but you're not going to pay attention to me. We can do that and be back, and nobody would ever never know that we were there. And go steal a duck if we wanted to go steal a duck. So if we can do it, these things are so far superior. And there's lots and lots of questions I have that I would just love to have answered. But these are some kind of superior beings. Their eyesight, their sense of everything, just everything is superior. I don't know if this is grand design. Is this a biblical thing? I'm a kind of a religious individual. There's references. We've talked about references in the Bible about, is that what this means? I don't know. I don't have many answers, but I've got lots of questions, and I'd like to know, man. I'd like to know. But it's a real deal. I can introduce you. So you call me, we'll walk in the backyard, and if you've got the courage, you go right ahead. I'm going to stay right here.
Yeah, let's do it.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so basically my thinking is when you have this Mindspeak incident again in the future, or you visually see them, let me know. I'll come over, we'll barbecue, sit out back, or sit on the porch, whatever you want to do. And then once it gets dark, I'll sit out there and see if they'll come up.
And I think you could approach them that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once, if you have any ill will or bad intentions in yourself at all, they're not going to buy it. They're watching, and they're detecting to the point where Mindspeak, they can read your mind. Can they? I think they can. My opinion would be yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Because they read me like yesterday's TV guide. It's like, are you an evil person? No, dude, I'm pretty cool.
I think they're attracted to people with illnesses or injuries.
And I do. I honestly think that they're trying to make contact with the human race, but it's so much. And the humans we're just not ready for it. We're not conditioned. We see something strange and new, we want to kill it or eat it.
So we're the primates in their eyes.
Yeah, we're the dummies. We're the the monkeys in their eyes, and they're far superior. But it's just incredible. It was an awe-inspiring experience. I'm not scared. I'm not freaked out. Next time I barbecue, I'd probably say, hey, I'm going to barbecue some ribs. Come on down and have some. Yeah. Now, you got to stay out there in the yard. But, yeah, it would be an old friend. You wave to them as they're walking through the yard and say, hey, what's going on? How are you guys? I got tomatoes. Tomatoes are ripe. You can have some tomatoes if you want. And so, anyway, another just little bits of story that put this thing together. I could never keep bird feeders. I love hummingbirds. Hummingbirds, I think, are just the coolest. And it's just incredibly beautiful animals. A hummingbird to me is just fascinating, and I love birds. And no matter where I'd put up a hummingbird feeder, it'd be gone. It would be totally gone or totally destroyed. What's up with... So I give up. It's like, all right, I'm going to give it one last time. So went and got me some bird feeders, filled them up with sugar water, made little preparations for them. And then I thought maybe, a raccoon. Nah, I don't think maybe a raccoon would be strong enough. Because it wasn't broke, it was unscrewed. Like, well, raccoons are pretty smart, but I don't think they would unscrew something. Maybe not. Couldn't have been a possum. I don't think possums can jump vertical out into the air, away and suspended in air, where I'm putting these hummingbird feeders and zip tying them with heavy zip ties. Not, you're going to pull a knife out or cutters to cut the zip tie. You're not going to pop them. You know, I made sure of that. And they'd be unscrewed, empty, on the ground, within days, 24 hours, empty, gone. Okay, well, you got to go make preparations to feed hummingbirds. I think you got to special. You can't just give them sugar water. You got to do it a special way. What a friend of mine told me, and it works. It couldn't, and to this day, if I put a hummingbird feeder up, it'll be gone. Swear to you, it will not last a week. Well, I think they've been as close as to my front door. Oh, Doug's got hummingbird feeders. Let's go get us some sugar water. Like a sweet glass of Southern tea, they take my hummingbird feeder part and drink the sugar water out of it, set it down, and then walk off. It's like, man, I hope not. But that means they've been within 10 feet of me. I'm in my living room now, and those hummingbird feeders are right outside my front door. Now, that within itself is a little scary. I would definitely keep my distance if I seen one. I don't think I'd run up and shake his hand like we long lost buddies or something. So.
Okay, so when these creatures were outside, there was the male, the female. Did you get a visual sighting of them? Did you see them?
Not as much, a silhouette. And the reason I say silhouette is because my neighbor has lights on his barn, and his barn light's always on, and so is a house light. And I noticed, and I would always tell him, hey, Dave, your barn light's out, or you have your light off, and that light's been on for as long as I've lived here, which is 25 some odd years. I couldn't see the barn light. I couldn't see the house light. The difference between, it wasn't pitch black. I could see the trees, outline of the barn, some lighting behind it, and then it stopped and turned pitch black. And there was a silhouette there. And I could see the outline of the silhouette. You could see the silhouette of this massive thing blocking out my view over on the other side of, because it's my back door, and then I can see the neighbor's property, my tree line, creek line, whatever I can see, and it was just a solid wall of black. And I couldn't see past it. So I knew it's not as much as I seen as much as it projected. It let me know, maybe I asked the question, because it sounds like something I would do if I was sitting here talking to one. Damn, boy, how much you weigh? You know what I'm saying? How tall are you? You need to be playing NFL, NBA. Because this thing was just, it probably had an arm span 16 feet. Well, you figure it's 11 feet tall. Its arms are another 6 feet tall. That's over 20 feet. This thing was just gigantic. And it just blocked out so much, and it kind of let me know how big it was. I mean, it didn't say, oh, I'm 11 feet tall, I weigh 2,742 pounds, my doctor says I need to go on a diet. And it was none of that. It was like, volume-wise, I could do probably a volume calculation on it and calculate its weight, but it was just, from what I'd seen and didn't see, it was like, wow. Yeah. It was incredible.
Okay, so what alerted you to the activity was your dog was acting out for quite a while. Was he pacing back and forth? Was he showing his teeth? You said he urinated he urinated on himself. How can someone who's having Bigfoot activity, who has pets, be able to know if there's something strange going on outside? What were some key signs that you noticed?
If you have animals, watch your animals. I was raised around animals. I love dogs, bird dogs. I've guided bird dogs, raised bird dogs, and I'm used to reading signs of a dog. You know, I know when a dog goes on point, I want to call him off, and I've guided hunts, and so I'm pretty experienced with dogs, especially dogs. Animal will tell you if there's something they don't like, especially a horse. A horse will tell you. Yeah, they have superior smell. If they smell something they don't like, they'll tell you. They'll let you know that I'm out of here. And my dog especially, and I think this would probably hold true to all dogs, once they know they're defenseless, it's fight or flight. I've got to run away or I'm going to have to defend myself. But whatever triggers that, they know fighting is not going to do them any good. And my dog especially, and I would think it would hold true to all dogs, she did everything. Arched back, bare teeth, ready to pounce, ready to run, just defensive mode. Mm-hmm. If you've ever seen a dog go in defense, laid down, peed, just uncontrollable urination, knew that if she was with me or if she was in the house, she's going to be okay. I was going to protect her or she would be okay in the house. And the reaction to the dog was unexplainable. Unless there's a major predator, and of course I'd get on, if there was a way for me to research good source of good information is YouTube. You can look it up. Look it up. Dog reaction to predators. I mean, it's Google it for Pete's sake, and it'll tell you dog. It'll urinate. It'll growl. It'll bark. And she was hiding. Mm-hmm. She knew she better get someplace quick and don't get detected, because that was her only hope. And she'd be up in my face. I mean, I'd have to push her away and figure out, well, dog, you're urine drenched. I don't want to be, and she was trying to crawl inside me to get just as far away, and it's so uncommon for her, my dog, to do that. But watch your animals, man. Your animals will tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your animals are first line of defense in my book.
Yeah, and it's amazing that domestic animals have like this special ability to detect danger. And you mentioned horses, dogs, and like you could have a dog inside your house and someone's pulling up or coming down this long driveway and he's already alerting you way before you even know the vehicle pulled up or is sitting outside. And to think what a wild creature is capable of, such as a Sasquatch, with the intelligence that they have, their abilities probably are much more superior than a domestic animal.
To begin with, that's what they get when they're born, but highly honed and sharpened. And I can't imagine. I mean, my brain only goes so far with that. But just to watch a dog react, the dog I had was so cool, and I miss her so much. I just loved that dog. She was cool. She could tell. She'd walk the kids to school in the morning, and then she'd come back. Then she'd do her whatever thing, and then no matter where she was at, if it was cold, rainy inside, she was outside dog. Wherever she wanted to go, it's where she was. And if she was in the house, she'd hear the school bus. Well, that's a mile away. Mm-hmm. Up to the door. Time to go get the kids off the school bus. And it wasn't my kids. It was the neighbor kids or kids down the street. But she would always walk the kids to the school bus. And she'd meet them at the end of the driveway. And Oh, she'd be so tickled to see him, and then she'd walk to the bus with all the kids because she knew she'd go get petted or probably fed, you know. But that was just the way, the intuition that that dog had, and that was what it was so triggered me to start thinking something's going on here far more than I understand or I can explain, and I'm going to look into it, is the way she was reacting, because that dog was just as, if you met her right now, dude, we've been lifelong buddies. I've known you all my life. Pet me, feed me, bathe me, whatever, I'm going home with you. Never mind that, you know, I'm the owner. You know, she's just a sweet dog. And then turn into a damned vicious hound. I thought I was going to have to shoot her. Are you coming after me? I'm, you know, I guess I could take her down if I had to. I don't want to. But my only defense against this dog was I probably had to shoot her or kill her to get her to stop reacting the way she was reacting. But it wasn't directed at me. It was directed at whatever was outside walking around the house.
You thought the dog was turning on you or something?
I thought she'd got distemper or rabies, or, you know, she'd been to the vet. So she was, you know, all her shots. You know, she wasn't bit by a rabid animal of some kind, or, you know. And then once the event was over, you know, hour or so later, she'd calm down and everything would be good.
Did your dog eventually befriend the Sasquatch? You mentioned earlier off camera that the dog would take off down the creek for about 4 hours at a time and then come back with a strange odor. What do you think about that?
It took a while to get there, and it started probably after this incident, encounter, whatever you want to call it. Because, and I'm not trying to be a tough guy, I'm not trying to be a mean guy, but I made it very, very clear that if you touch my animals or you touch another human being around here, I'm going to hunt you down. And I have the capacity to do that, and I'm not kidding. I'm not playing. I'm being as serious as I can. Please. Okay. All right. We won't touch your animals. We won't touch any humans. We won't harm anybody here. That's the agreement. And it seemed like, okay, it's the agreement we all come to, and we're all good with that. But it never was. My animal was looked at because she never got caught up to. They never caught her outside. Mm-hmm. She would always know enough to get in the house. Always know enough to get in the house. Oh crap, here they come. I got to get in the house, or I got to go run away or whatever. I think until I got to that point, they knew to leave that animal alone. Once that happened, miraculously, I would use a whole bottle of Dawn liquid detergent because she would smell like puke, poop, trash. I could bathe her right now, and within 4 hours, she would come back smelling like puke, poop, and trash. And it was the same smell all the time. That was my big indicator. Now they're messing with me. Because I want this dog to stay clean. Because if you come in my house, you're going to be clean. Or you can't come in the house. You can stay in the garage all you want, but you ain't coming in the house, and you're just not going to happen. That holds true with humans too, by the way. You know what I'm saying? I'm a clean individual, and but it would be the same smell. And you can smell. I've been a hunter all my life. I can smell smells. I know what smells. And it would be regurgitation. It would be urine. And it would be feces. And it would be moldy trash. But it would be the same, and it would be a streak down her back. And it was like somebody licked their hand and went, I'll show you. And she'd come back, boy, just happy a camper. Smell me, Dad. I smell like poop, urine, pukes, feet. Oh, I'd give her a bath. It just never, for months on end, it's like, I give up. Mm-hmm. Outside you stay, because you're not coming in here. Couldn't keep her clean. Could not keep that dog clean. And it was almost like a joke. It's like, oh, hey, here's the happy dog, you know, and they would somehow, I don't know what the word, initiate her into the clan. If she smelled like this, then other animals wouldn't bother, or other Bigfoot wouldn't attack her or eat her or kill her. That's kind of what it seemed like to me. If you had that odor or she had that smell, that she was safe, and no coyotes would get her, no bobcats. That was just kind of what we have around here. We may have a mountain lion, I'm not so sure. Could be, don't know. But so long as she smelled like that, she was safe. And it's like, I can't tolerate it. It was just, it was horrible. But if they needed that scent to make sure that she was safe with them, I give up. Okay, now she's your dog too, I guess. Because, it was something funny about it, but It was like, how do you explain that? You got an explanation for that? Because I don't. But it was always the same smell. That's vomit. I know what that is. P-U. And it's poop. I've cleaned out a couple mini barns in my days. I know what that is. And it's like, same thing. It's like, this is a habit now. Every day. If she was here right now, I'd show you. I'd give her a bath, and I guarantee you within 3 hours, she'd come back and she'd just smell to high heaven. So that tells me they're close by. They're real close by.
What time of year do these creatures or these beings show up? When did you have the Mindspeak incident when they were outside?
Usually warm. Usually established warm. And the reason I think that is I have several fruit trees, and my fruit trees were blooming. And I was told, hey, nice addition to the fruit trees. And it was as clear as you told me. Hey, you planted fruit trees. Yeah, I did. I got, 4 apple trees, 3 cherry trees, a peach tree, whatever. And it was like, good job.
Other than the migraines, how else did this affect you? Did you have any other health problems due to the Mindspeak?
No, a little more intuition than I've ever had before. I can't say I enjoy it. I don't look forward to it. I have it. I thought it was a good experience. I don't have, I'm going to have to go get medicated. I'm going to have to see somebody. I think they're real. I know they're real. Come on down, I'll show you. I think they're still here. I think they're going to migrate in the spring. If they're still here, this is part of their hunting ground. They're coming up here to hunt, and then they go back to where they're at. But come green, blooming clover, fruit trees, stuff like that, then they'll come, may migrate from the north to the south, and then go from the south to the north or east or the west. Cooler weather seems, to what I understood, is they enjoy the cooler weather.
Yeah.
Versus heat.
So what's a more technical term for Mindspeak? Would you say telepathy? Is that what it is?
Off the charts telepathy.
Yeah.
It's just, telepathy in my mind would mean I can read your mind. You're sitting within 10 feet of me. I'm sitting over here. You're thinking about the story. You're thinking about the camera, the me, the environment, whatever. This was deeper. It was thinking inside of me. It knew my soul. It read my deep inner thoughts, not just what am I going to have for lunch. It was the biggest impression that I got from it, are you an evil person? And they knew evil, or they knew bad, or they knew a killer, or I just slaughtered, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I kind of thought I thought my reaction was, I hunt. I'm a hunter. I eat. I kill what I eat what I kill. I don't waste animals. I don't slaughter animals just because I think it's fun. If I shoot something, I hunt something, I consume it. I try not to waste anything. I'm very conservative. Always have been about hunting, especially.
So this could be a reason why researchers don't have success when they're pursuing these creatures, or if someone has a camera and they're wanting to film one, it almost seems like they know. I've had a few experiences out in the woods where I'm like, I've been looking for Bigfoot all day. Kind of weird I didn't hear a wood knock. Pow! Like as soon as I think that, like I've had strange things like that take place, or I'd have experiences or encounters in one certain area, and I'd go like 20 miles away to bow hunt, and I'm having Bigfoot activity. And then I'd go a completely different direction a week later, and I get followed out of the woods. It's like, I swear these things like tagged me, or they're following me around, or there's something supernatural going on.
Oh, you're tagged.
Yeah.
You're definitely tagged. You definitely are now marked of some. It just like I probably think I may have explained.
Mm-hmm.
I had a strange. It wasn't with the two that I encountered. It was, but as silly as it sounds, he was notified that he could come through my property and he would be safe. That was communicated to it. And don't be making no mistakes. Don't be, you got some rules. You got to behave yourself. He knew that, but it wasn't the same one. He knew that there was, some kind of communications going on, that one knew this is a safe passage. Come through here. And I assured them that it was. You'll never be harmed. As long as you're not doing any damage and harming anybody, you won't be harmed here. Promise you. But if you harm, it's just like I said, if you harm somebody here, I will take actions. Don't be mistaken. I will.
Were they the ones taking the dogs? Because you said you seen a bunch of missing dogs.
I think they were. Yeah. I think they were.
They just didn't take your dog.
They just didn't, and I had to reiterate that a couple times. I think it's like, I understand. You eat. You're carnivore on this level. Squirrels, dogs, easy prey catches, stray animals. Yeah, I won't say all strays because they probably walk up on your porch and snag a Pomeranian, I would think, because the neighbor, like I said, they were here, moved here for just a couple of days, let the dog out, dog was gone. Mm-hmm. Don't know what predator it was, but it was a predator. Could have been an eagle. We have eagles here. We got hawks here. And it was a little tiny dog. Anything could have got it, I guess. But when we're hunting, we're concealed, you let a dog out to run and it's like, oh, lunch.
Yeah.
It could very well possibly be. Could possibly be. And I think I was told and I was asked, are you okay with that? It's like, no, I'm really not, because these are people's pets, man. These are family members. But if it's a stray or it's a wild, unfortunately, especially feral cats. Cats go wild. And if it's a feral barn cat, you know how, I grew up on a farm. I know how feral cats multiply. If you got a male and a female, you got 50 cats. If they got into, but they would eat anything, moles, rats, anything on the ground is consumable to them. They have no, and they have feelings toward each other, but not so much to humans and their food supply. It's like we're gonna kill and eat a dog. It's like, oh man, don't hurt that dog. So to them, it's a food supply. It's not a pet.
Right.
It's lunch.
I almost wonder, when we talked about this earlier, if they're reintroducing elk into Missouri, they're not allowing people to hunt hogs unless they got big farms. Like they say not to shoot the hogs because it'll spread them out throughout the state. But it's kind of unusual that they'll run helicopters for hours and hours, days and days, and sometimes just kill one little bitty hog. It's like, I don't see them spending that much fuel, that much time and resources just to kill one hog.
It's what I find offensive is whoever's in charge of that, Now, I'm a business owner at one time. I can pretty much calculate costs and expenses and overhead and labor and running equipment and heavy equipment. And I can imagine what a helicopter pilot, 2 snipers, 1 in each door, military, black ops, whatever, $5,000 an hour to shoot a hog. I know me and Bubba and the rednecks go out there on our 4-wheelers and kill hundreds if you let us. They won't let you shoot hogs no more. That tells me a lot. It almost tells me that's somebody's food supply. Those hogs have been turned loose, I think, as a food supply to these. Nothing makes sense, but, well, if I got the whole story and the truth, it would explain a lot, but we're not getting the truth and we're not getting the whole story at all. It's gotten out of control. It's gotten out of hands. Maybe that backfired. Now Bigfoot's propagating their species faster, harder than suspected, out of control kind of thing, because the last controlled, we talked about this, helicopter hunt that I heard of from the conservation was south of Elephant Rock, Iron County, Reynolds County, down that way. Don't go out in the woods because we're killing hogs.
Yeah,
helicopter.
That's what I heard too.
And you could look it up. Look it up. I'm not trying to blow smoke. Look it up. They said don't go down there. Okay, I'll take your word for it. But to hunt hogs, really? It seems like excuse my French, that sounds like a bullshit story to me. You know, when we are more than capable hunters in Missouri to, whack a few hogs, I'm sure. I've had wild hog, I didn't care for it. So it's not a supply of meat that I would, I just don't care for it, but that's just me.
It was last year, there was a dogman report in that area south of Elephant Rock, and I think the area was called the Rockpile Mountain Conservation Area. But there was a dogman report there. 3 days later, they posted on Facebook, they're doing hog hunting in the area. Don't go in there. They're shutting everything down. And it's just kind of unusual. The fact that they were doing hog hunts right after there was a dogman report in that area. But it doesn't make sense that they'd spend that much money on resources, time. And like if I got in a critical accident and I went to the hospital in St. Louis by helicopter, they would charge me like 20 grand probably, if not more.
Least,
I don't know.
At least.
Yeah, so why spend that much on a hog? It doesn't make sense. But
well,
I feel like
it doesn't make sense.
The reason for the hogs, the elk, preserving like the land, I'm not going to say it's for that specific reason because there's probably a multitude of reasons why they have like the Mark Twain and all these state parks. But I think a big reason is people's dogs were going missing. These things are getting into chicken coops. People that walk out in forests just end up going missing. They probably said, okay, we need to find a reason to feed these things. If not, they're going to start feeding on people, dogs, cattle. Like, we have to get this under control. If not, people are going to figure out what's going on.
Don't you think it would be and I know you do, you're an intelligent individual, if the truth was known, we could better manage the situation than this covert government, because if the government's involved, it's going to get screwed up. The government never does anything. I've been on the planet for 64 years. I've never known the government to get it right yet. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We know they exist. There's a story. You're saying Dogman south of Elephant Rocks. When the story on, I can't remember who published the story. It was on one of the better YouTube channels, and it was the guy's losing a calf, 3 calves a week, and could not figure out where his calves are going. These are expensive. This is this man's livelihood. He doesn't do this. He's doing it to provide for himself, family. He's putting a lot of work in this, and for a calf to go missing, I can tell you what the dollar figure is. I can tell you how much it'd piss me off to see my cattle just go to waste. Lo and behold, he stayed up all night with a camera and a gun, and never suspected. He's not a believer in You know, just a southern Missouri good old country boy, and never suspected a Bigfoot, and that's exactly what it was. He'd come in, pick him out a calf, and across the pasture, across the fence, he'd go eat his calf. A couple of days later, here he'd come back. Well, he almost lost his whole damn herd. You're talking thousands, monetary value, thousands of dollars, not just the psychological impact on, oh, these things are real. And they're real and they're dangerous. I don't recommend going up and shaking hands with one because it's not going to work. I just don't. They're something we do not understand. And until we understand, the best we can do is just try to get along, and hopefully somebody somewhere will get enough information to do what we need to do. But flying helicopters, shooting one hog is like, you really expect us to believe that? I got some property I'd like to sell you, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. To put a helicopter in the air to shoot one hog, yeah. And I think they were released for a food source.
People believe it, man.
You know, you're killing our deer because the deer hunters we're pissed off because we don't see no deer no more. Well, guess who's eating all your deer? Well, we better introduce another food source to keep from killing the deer to pacify the deer hunters. And it's like that didn't work. But now they won't let us kill hogs. I've experienced some of that, and that's a good time. Man.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a blast.
They're going to spend so much money on the helicopter, but they won't let us shoot one.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to spread it out like rabbits.
Please explain that in short sentences. I probably get it, and I'm sure my deer hunting buddies would too. If I see one, I'm gonna blast it.
I feel like a helicopter would spread them out too. You know what I mean? Like you shoot at them in a helicopter, they're going to run in every direction.
Making an event, I would pay you to let me shoot hogs out of a helicopter. I'll do it for free.
That would take care of the problem. If there's a hog problem, you're going to let every hunter who sees them take these things out. Who cares if it spreads them out? Because it's going to push them to another hunter.
I'm not buying that for a second. Pushes them out.
It stopped right there.
Did it?
Yes, I hit record.
But yeah, see, we're touching on, and I think the whole hog thing literally was food source, and I think the elk thing was food source, and I think the deer management wasting disease was a disease introduced by a whole new type of animal. Could it be? I don't know. I would like to know because inquisitive minds want to know.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I've thought that too. I wonder if like the CWD, EHD problem, chronic waste disease is due to these creatures being out in the woods.
It could very well possibly be. It's something here's the thing, we just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, but it's definitely, after this, I would think, in my opinion, you've got a couple of different ways you could go. I could have totally freaked out, and now it's like, my God, I got to carry a knife and a butcher knife and a machete and a pistol and a shotgun. Oh my God, they're everywhere, and I'm freaking the frig out. Mm-hmm. I didn't do that at all. It's like, wow, they are everywhere, and I have a gun. If I want to carry a gun, I'll carry a gun, but I don't feel compelled. I don't feel threatened. I don't feel any reason to go pick up a pistol or a bazooka for that matter. Whatever I want to choose to do, I don't feel compelled. It's just like I said, it's almost like a neighborly thing now. Mm-hmm. Don't eat all my damn tomatoes, because them tomatoes for me. You know
right.
What I'm saying?
That's how I felt whenever I laid eyes on these creatures. I was like, man, all those crazy people that told those stories about Bigfoot are actually telling the truth.
They are.
It's like, wow, this validated
everything.
The reality of kind of what's going on around me and what I dismissed as fictional or folklore.
It's totally, yeah, it's all true. Mm-hmm. You know, and your reaction would be, the best thing I could say is just get informed. Mm-hmm. And then we're down south, southern Missouri. Anybody that's been in southern Missouri, it's Mark Twain National Forest. It's a big place. It's a big place. And if you see a mountain lion, you better believe it's a mountain lion. You're in the wilderness. This is Wyoming, Colorado, vast wilderness. Probably Mark Twain National Forest had been set up, I would think, because they knew that this creature was here at the turn of the century, early 19. Well, we better give this thing some space. So we're going to turn southern Missouri, basically, into a national forest that can't be developed. You know, nobody can build. You can't, you know, you can go enjoy it, but you need to get out there by dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always a layer of not the truth, but you can research for yourself and find report after incident after incident. There cannot possibly be these many reports and this not be true. There's not that many crazy people. There's not that many liars. I got nothing to gain by this. Absolutely nothing to gain by this. To me, I'd be outside working in my yard, as cold and snowy as it is today. There's no monetary value. Nothing's compelling me to do this. I'm hoping to get something out of it, and my hope is that maybe we can study these things and get some of this information and help the situation. I don't want to go slaughter these things, and I don't know what they are. You may be killing the next. They may have information on. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows what they really know? That is the thing.
We just don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know nothing about it. We just don't.
Just learning about Bigfoot and actually realizing that this is a reality. It's a paradigm shift to know that there's worse things out there in the woods than Bigfoot. There's more out there.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And you could not possibly be prepared. How can you be prepared for something that you don't know what it is? I mean, if you think you can go out in the woods and be prepared to see a coyote, yeah, that's feasible. I've shot a lot of coyotes. I've hunted coyotes, asked to come, take some coyotes off my property. They're killing my turkey poults and rabbits, and it's like, sure, I'll knock them down. And, trying to balance because we got way too many predators. We got an imbalance in nature. Let's manage the property. Okay, well, deal. That's why I'm a hunter. That's what I love to do. But to go out into the woods and think if I come up against a Sasquatch, Bigfoot, dog man, I don't care what you call them, that you're going to prevail, you're not going to prevail.
And that's what I've heard
You're
too,
not.
that dog
You're just
man.
not.
No,
it's not going to happen.
Dogman can mind speak too. I've taken some reports and people talk about that. So it seems to be an ability that cryptid creatures have, and I really want to find out what's going on.
That would be probably the first and foremost question that I would have is, how do you do that? How do you mind speak? How, what, where do you get this? Because it's a thing. And once you've experienced, I'll help you out with that, and you'll have the same opinion about it I do. But I did experience one. Told one person here the story off the charts. You're crazy. You're nuts. You're crazy. And it's like, okay, I'm crazy. I'm nuts. I'm crazy. I'm gonna have to go see somebody. I'm gonna need medicine. I've lost my friggin' mind. I'm just as normal as anybody else and probably better off for the understanding that I got, more so than I had before. Love intelligence, man. I always big on education. I'm a tradesman. I went to school. I got certificates and I got a degree in applied science, whatever. Intelligence. I'm not smarter than anybody else. I love intelligence. I like doing stuff, like learning things. I think I'm a better person for it. I really do. I think I've got a little bit more intelligence in that subject than most people do. First of all, because I believe it. Not from the experience or something. It's like, okay, I get it. What am I supposed to do with this? This was a gift? Was it a gift? Okay, it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I don't think I would enjoy wrestling this thing or fighting this thing, and that's, you know what I'm saying? I think they literally pick people out. So if they're picking people out, that means you had to notice me from a great distance away to know that it was safe to walk in my yard, to be safe enough to approach me, to know what my action was going to be or reaction was going to be. You know what I'm saying? That takes, what does that take? What would it take for you to walk into a stranger's yard at 2 o'clock in the morning and you know, take a bird feeder off their house? That takes a little bit of courage in my book.
Oh, yeah.
You know, ain't nothing going to bother you. You're weigh 3,000 pounds, so you're not afraid of anybody or anything. But you know the guy in the house that has got, it was made very clear that I owned firearms, and it knew what firearms was. It knew what them bang sticks made noise, throws pieces of, it knew all about them. Knew all about them. Didn't have to say, well, I've got a 12-gauge shotgun with slugs. I didn't have to say any of that. It knew that I owned them and very capable of using them.
Why did, because you told me off air that they would come up to the window and tap. Why do you think they came up to the window and tap on the window? Like, was it at 2 or 3 in the morning?
2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Whatever happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, I think, I don't know if we got that on what we were talking about, 2 o'clock in the morning. My neighborhood, or here in general, look around. Get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go look around. Everybody's asleep. 2 o'clock in the morning, everybody's perfect time to get up and go walking around because everybody's asleep, right? Well, 2 o'clock in the morning, they make their rounds. They're creatures of habits. I'm sure they are. That will not be, that will be the way to, I won't say, I don't know how to say this without trying to be an adversary, because I'm not an adversary, is to not trap them, but maybe film them or study them, is because they're real comfortable in their habits. If you know their habits, and I know they're here about 2 o'clock, so if you and I were going to videotape or do a thermal something, set up outside, whatever, I'd be there about 1:30 ready for a 2 o'clock disturbance, and you're probably going to get something. But they know, everybody's, humans, they've been watching us. They've been here for a while, okay? It's not a stretch of the imagination to go, well, them human things, whatever they are to them, nobody's outside. All the dogs and cats are up. I can do what I want. And they pretty much nighttime is theirs. They do what they want.
Yeah.
You know?
And we mentioned that the telepathy is Mindspeak, but I've theorized, what if these things are like breaking limbs, pushing over trees, creating these structures using telekinesis? Like, maybe they're not physically even doing it. Like, maybe this stuff's just moving. I don't know. If they have Mindspeak, like, what else can they do? Because I don't know, for something that big, like, I'm going to go push this tree and then take off running or hide, you know,
right,
like,
yeah,
there's something to it.
It's something too. Here's what I would tell you. My position has changed so much. It's 180 degrees on what it used to be. I will not discount anything right now. If it's associated with this, that you think that they're interdimensional, wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah.
If you think they can telekinesis, I think that's what they called. You can do things with your mind or whatever, break tree branches, wouldn't surprise me a bit.
I got a video of something strange in Reynolds County. We were doing research there at the guy's property who was having Bigfoot activity, and I swear, this is video footage too. You just see this limb like floating across the screen. And I mean, it wasn't a blurry video, like it just looks like this branch is floating.
And are there more than what we're calling Bigfoot Sasquatch? Do you think well, we're already talking about Dogman. That's established. It's a fact. It's just a fact. The best thing you can do is just accept it is a fact. You'll be safer. Knowing that there's something out there that you don't know what it is, and I don't know what it is, and I can't protect you from it. So if we're going fishing in Canada, and I've heard these stories, I have buddies that go fishing in Canada. I used to fly to Canada and go, boy, that's the strangest looking. We seen a big cougar. Well, are you sure that was what you thought you seen? Were you armed? Could you protect yourself? If I don't know what it is, I can't fix it. Just like something being broke. If I don't know what's broke, I can't fix it. I can't protect myself if I don't know what to protect myself from.
Yeah.
You know, and the more we know, the better, safer we're going to be. It's not that I want to cause it any harm. It's like, could we use that to better our society? We probably could. Mm-hmm. But I've heard and read, and I don't understand it, but I would certainly like to. These things could be interdimensional. They could disappear. I don't know, but it'd be cool to find out, wouldn't it? It'd be awesome. How do you do that? Is it something the human race could benefit from or do? Probably not a good idea to give us any more, you know, don't give the human race anything other than, you know, probably not a good idea.
That's the thing. They silence the topic and pretend that it's not real. But in Canada, I think, like, I'm not sure about the laws, but I heard you're not allowed to own a pistol. And when you go deer hunting, it has to be like single shot. And the Canadians have been so brainwashed. They're like, all you need is one bullet. That's all you need.
Yeah,
you don't need more than one bullet. It's like, are you sure about that?
No.
Sure?
Yeah, so it's just another, was it 2 years ago? The governor, mind you, governor of Arizona wanted to have a yearly hunt on Sasquatch, Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a government official, high up, governor of a state. So if that doesn't validate, what more do you need? Mm-hmm. Why don't you get in your car and go travel out to that state and go check it out for yourself?
Oklahoma has like a $3 million.
It was Oklahoma, I thought.
Oklahoma has a $3 million bounty if someone turns in a Sasquatch. In Florida,
oh, yeah, dude, and oh my gosh, and it just triggers so many stories here. 2 years ago, whatever, pick. It doesn't matter what the time was. Springfield, Missouri. National news. Lady was in the park, some park in Springfield. I think I've been to Springfield a couple of times. I think I know where it's at. She was sitting on a picnic table in Springfield in a park someplace, and a Bigfoot come up and tried to kidnap her. People standing everywhere. Mm-hmm. Well, he was wanting to do one or two things. Don't you think? And what could that possibly be? Yeah. Beautiful young lady, and it was a adolescent, not full grown. He's wanting to breed or eat, one or the other. You know what I'm saying? And it was witnessed by I don't know how many people. So it's like, I think that's what's getting out of hand, and if they don't start knocking that back a little bit, we're going to see way more than we have, and these things probably could be vicious.
I watch a lot of camping videos, and there's a lot of females that go deep in the wilderness and camp by themselves and make like a YouTube channel, but it's like, man, that's dangerous being a girl, being out there alone, just with humans.
Oh yeah, don't say nothing bad about the girls, because the girls, I love the girls.
No, but I'm
just saying,
yeah,
because you're a girl, because you're female, because
more power to them, but
you are. To me, I think what Bigfoot thinks, and there was a time in my life, I thought pretty much everything Bigfoot was. I had one purpose on this planet, and was to breed, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what they do. They see a girl out in the woods. It's breeding season to them. They don't know no better. Hey, it's basically the same physiological makeup as a female Sasquatch, Bigfoot. Trust me, you see a couple girls that ain't shaved over the winter, they all look like Sasquatch.
Yeah.
You know, baby, you need to shave.
These women are independent, fully capable of protecting themselves.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying anything other than
from what I've heard, they like women and children, even from the Native Americans. And I've taken a lot of reports where like alpha men that are hunting, like these things don't approach them. But if you're a kid playing out there in the woods, you know, you might see one. You're a female, you might see one, but typically, you know.
Yeah, typically
macho man doesn't run into Bigfoot. And if he does, he probably doesn't go hunting again. But it's more typical for women and children.
Oh, I think so. I think so. And for breeding, because if you think they're as intelligent as they are, they're just underdeveloped. To answer a huge bunch of questions, it was, how can they disappear and go interdimensional, but they live outside and they eat raw deer and, how can they be so primitive but yet be so intelligent at the same time? You know what I mean? Do they know? Do they not know? Could they be taught? You know? Yeah, that I'm sure they could, but I don't know what it would take to do something like that. And I certainly wouldn't want to force them, but if you give them a house and a car and a job, what would they do?
Yeah.
Now I'm going back out in the woods. It's easier to be Bigfoot than to try to live like a human.
There is a story I heard from Licking, Missouri. And I don't know the guy, but I heard from someone who knows the guy. The guy was abducted by a female Sasquatch, and she had his way with them.
Yes.
Like,
I've
took
heard
advantage
that
of
more
them.
than once.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
scary too. So it's not just like
no, it's
women.
just not one way. But dude, you gotta. She's in control. If she weighs 600-700 pounds, and girls are girls. Girls like to have fun too.
Yeah.
And I've heard of that he was trapped, and that's what she had him for, was basically stud service.
He wrote a song about it too.
Yeah, can you imagine? I can't imagine, man. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Holy cow. But you asked me a question earlier, and people say they've heard house hits and hits on their house, and my bedroom's elevated, and right after the week of this was intense. I got a lot, continued with the Mindspeak and the downloads and mental pictures and sensations, and when they would be around the house or on the property, they would, hey, we're here, hi, how are you? And it was like we were new best friends. Couldn't get enough, and it, then they were migrating away, and I don't think any of this is my imagination, as it was Mindspeak, and then it curtailed off to nothing. It's like, well, they must have migrated on, because I haven't had any reaction at all in a while. But to answer your question now, I would hear right at my head, wherever my head was at, up against my headboard, up against the wall in my bedroom, it would be
3 taps.
3 taps.
Yeah.
For 3 or 4 days. Hey, man. And it was, we're here. Okay, I'm up here, I'm sleeping. And they knew it. They knew exactly where I was at. They knew exactly what I was doing. And I'd tell them, I left an apple out there for you. And I would leave. I got a tractor that sits out there with a brush hog. Right by I've got fresh water that comes out the downspout. And it was like, thanks for the fresh water. Thanks for the apple. I have fruit trees. And it's like, oh, yeah. Well, I can't wait for them to produce fruit, too. It's like, good job on that one. And it would always be a complimental, still standoffish. We're not going to walk hand in hand down the road together. Understand that. But we can coexist. And as long as you have your rules and you stay over there, I have mine, I'll stay over here. And that's kind of what it was. And it was made very clear that that's what that was. But it'd be a soft, and I think it was the female. I don't think it was the male. Because if he wanted to, he could put his arm through the wall and tear the house down if he would, just that kind of strength. He was just strong. I've ran equipment, skid steers and loaders and just all kinds of equipment. He could punch his arm through the wall and grab me, and he could tear the house down with an arm, I think. It was that much strength to it. But it was always a nice, gentle 3 taps. Hey, we're here. I'm going to get my apple. I'm going to get me something to drink. I'm just moving through. We'll see you. Okay, cool. That was what it was. But it was so gentle. It was so gentle. But it was so real. It's like, would you please stop waking me up? It's 2 o'clock and I'm trying to sleep. It's getting old.
Like, we got to let Douglas know we're here because he knows we exist.
Well, yeah, it is. And it's like it was. It was like, hey, I got a new best friend. And it's like, I'm doing me, man. I'm not going to sit up in the bedroom window with a high-powered rifle and see if I can't bag one of these things. I don't think I'd want to. I don't think I would. I don't think I have that in me. They know that, because I think it was one of the first questions, I guess, that they asked. You're not going to hurt us, are you?
If the arm comes through the wall, then yes.
Yeah, if you punch your arm, yeah, we got a real big problem.
Right. Yeah.
I will be going to the gun safe, but it was no violence, no hate, no evil, wasn't, and that's kind of what I expected. It was like, uh-oh, I'm going to have to go get a pistol and start shooting my way out of here. I'm glad I got, like, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. It's just not.
Do you think there was information being downloaded to the dog's mind too?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It seemed like the older she got, the more intelligent she got. Mm-hmm. To me, because she could almost, and you can ask anybody around here, she can almost talk. Because if I gave her, I always fed her 2 cups of food. I'd give her whatever food container I had out there, I'd always give her 2 scoops. Mm-hmm. That's what she got. That was her diet. And if I put 1 in the bowl, oh man, boy, you talking about a dirty look. And she'd sit there and wouldn't move. She'd look me dead in the eyes, and it's like, where's the second scoop? I'm not kidding you. And it was that, and I'd had people come over, and I said, watch this dog. Mm-hmm. Watch this dog. And then you could ask her, what's on your mind? Got anything to talk about today? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. And you couldn't get her to shut up. It's like, okay, I don't understand nothing you're doing, but, and she would, dude. And she'd just rattle off. And she could say, I don't know how many dogs can do this, but they said it's kind of common. But she had, she could say, I think, pretty clear, 2 for 2 scoops of dog food. I said, how many you want? Until she said 2, I wouldn't give her that second scoop. And you could maybe make it out real clear sometimes, 2, but it seemed like the more she hung out with these things, mm-hmm. It was like a pinnacle. Once they were here, it's like these things got a little easier, more understandable. That makes sense now, versus me going, that it makes no sense at all. But yeah. Now that I know these things are here, it makes total sense. Mm-hmm. And it's the only explanation that I can come up with, I guess. You know? Yeah. And it makes sense to me. It just makes sense. So
I'm sorry you lost your dog, by the way. And you said you're getting a new one here in a few weeks?
Okay. I used to be a big bird hunter, love birds, bird hunting dogs. I guided several years for a couple local hunting clubs. And I just miss it. I miss it dearly. And I got a little pup. She'll be here in 3 weeks. Yeah. And a little Brittany.
What breed is the dog?
She's a Brittany.
Okay.
Gonna be I just love working dogs. Labs. Yeah. My daughter's got a lab, chocolate lab. My buddy, he's got a chocolate lab. I just love, labs Brittany's are my favorite, but labs they're just knuckleheads. I love them. Mm. Any kind of working dog. Duck dogs, I've had some duck dogs, retrievers, but my bird dogs were my pride. I had some really nice bird dogs.
That's going to be your best alarm system. Because like with the bird dogs, it's like they know that bird's there. Like in the cornfield, they'll like point their tail. Like, you know what I mean? Like they know it's there, but you can't see it.
Incredible. I had a dog named Andy, and he was a German short hair. And I would have people that would call the hunting club that would want to hunt. Is Andy available? It's like, my name's Doug. Yeah, we just want Andy. It's like, you want my dog. And they would call for the dog. They wouldn't even call for me. Is Andy? Yeah. And he'd have the guy's name was, I won't even say his name. It may not be cool. But he would call and say, hey, is Andy available? And I said, sure. Somebody wanting to hunt, I'll come out and put some birds out for you. And they would call for the dog because he was so intelligent. His nose was so keen. They call it whistle trained when you can, but my dogs were whistle trained. I could command them with a whistle. And I would walk into a field that was cut corn. Birds would be in the corn, in the cut field or wherever, it didn't matter. And I just let him go. And I'd just stand there. And these guys that I was guiding, well, he's going to run off. I said, no, he's not. He's way far away. We'll never make it. No, he's good. And he'd go to the end of the corn row, and I'd blow my whistle, and he'd stop, look at me, and I'd go, over here, G and Haw. Go this way and come up this corn row. He'll let us know. He'll let us know about halfway across the field. He'd lock up on a bird. Oh, he's going to get that bird. No, he won't either. You couldn't move that dog with a stick of dynamite. When he locked up. He was just incredible performance out of this animal. He was just incredible. And his nose, he could smell a bird, I would imagine miles away. Mm-hmm. Miles away. Because I could take him to the hunt club, and on the way to the hunt club is, 20 miles from my house. If there was something he wanted, he'd almost jump out of the truck. I smell a bird, Dad. I smell a bird. I gotta go. Get your butt back in the window. He couldn't roll the windows down because the dog, if he smelled a quail or a turkey or something he wanted to go after, man, his nose was just incredible. At 60 miles an hour, he was smelling birds.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that is incredible.
It's just incredible what them dogs can do.
And I imagine the Sasquatch's senses and abilities far surpass these dogs. We're kind of like quail in the forest, and they're the bird dogs. Like, they just know where you're at. Because I've wondered, like, how can they see me through all that brush? Like, they know I'm here. They're wood knocking. Even with binoculars, like, or a camera, I can't zoom in and see what's past that brush. And it's like they know. It's like they get to a certain point, and they're just like,
well, that would be a question I would just absolutely love to have answered. Was not only are they mind speaking, I think pretty sure they're mind speaking, because that's the experience I had. Not everybody does. I get it. That's fine. We're not talking about everybody. I'm talking about me. If you have infrared vision, you probably have the capacity for a whole lot of things. And if they don't see you, they probably smell you. And if they don't see or smell you, they probably feel you. Mm-hmm. Magnetic field, something maybe comes into play. Other animals communicating, maybe talking to squirrels. Who knows what happens? They're listening and watching too. Just like I said, watch your dog. Your dog will tell you a lot. Maybe their dogs tell them a lot. Oh, if a squirrel, we've all seen squirrels get caught, busted squirrel hunting. A squirrel will bark at you, bark at you, bark at you. Maybe that's what they're listening to.
Do you think it's possible, since I've had encounters with these creatures, I've seen them several times, if I ran into the Sasquatch, let's say at your place, would they know who I am?
You'd probably get a rundown.
Yeah.
You'd probably they would probably run away from you. I don't think they would attack. Yeah. They're not that type. So long as you're not, I think they'd run away. No, I don't think they would know who you are, name like I do, like we introduce or whatever. I think they would know your intentions. Mm-hmm. You would feel, what are you doing out here, and what are you doing? I think it's like a safety checklist. You got a gun, and they know what they are. They knew what mine was. They made it very clear they knew what guns were. Yeah. So
I've heard they can disappear. They can turn into balls of light. People claim that they've seen like these 4-foot wide Sasquatch plus go behind like a 12-foot tree, like in diameter, and not come out the other side. Or even thinner trees, like a giant Sasquatch just walks behind like a thin tree and then doesn't come out the other side.
Multiple stories about trees. Mm-hmm. Some kind of, I don't know, but I'm not, after this, I won't discount anything.
Ask them what they are the next time they show up. Have you asked that? Like,
the thing about it is, what I did realize, we didn't get that far.
Yeah.
We didn't, I was getting into, the farthest I got is how long you've been here, and I got that answer was how many generations it was here, and it was, that one was 6 generations. I thought it was 6. Mm-hmm. Didn't get a specific year, but I thought later, and there was so much information that I wasn't trying to discount myself. What I was trying to do is analyze what happened. And as many details as I could possibly remember. And it was, well, how long have you been here? For this many generations. And I actually got a picture, a mental picture, like a family photo album, which blew me away. It's like, could have went all day without seeing that.
Yeah.
But it's like, that was its way of telling me how long it had been here. Through all of, I think I counted 6, including it. 150 somethings. It didn't say in a date, in a time when everybody was born, and I didn't get that specific information because it wasn't the same information. You know, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask you when you were born, how long you been here. You can tell me, and I'll know that. But if you ask it that, you're not going to understand that information. Maybe is what I got.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you, but you're not going to understand it.
Yeah.
You figure that out later, or you'll have to ask me again, or it'll be a longer conversation before you get that. It wasn't all, it wasn't all, not all the information was, I don't know what to
You
correct.
couldn't like reciprocate, like.
Yeah, it wasn't all, I didn't understand all of it, but I understand a great deal of it. I was trying to, once it started, it's like, oh, give me all you got. Give me all you got. And it's like, oh no, you got to stop because that hurts. Mm-hmm. I remember coming in the house holding my face, holding my head because my head was, I had an instant headache. And then I told it, please stop. That's enough. I can't take anymore. I do remember that very, very clearly. But some of the answers were not discernible, I wasn't probably smart enough to know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Maybe it exceeded my intelligence level.
Right. We're not capable of understanding.
Capacity. What's that?
We're not capable of understanding.
Yeah, we don't have
things that are going on with them.
No,
perhaps,
not at all.
Like even if they told us, we'd just be like, "What? It just doesn't make sense."
Yeah, it would like be going to the, I don't know, pick a place and start talking to somebody that speaks German. Mm-hmm. You're probably not going to get much out of the conversation because neither one of you know. They don't know English. You don't know German. I don't have an idea what you're talking about.
Right.
So how would you relate that information? Hey, I talked to this guy in Germany. Couldn't tell you what he said. Mm-hmm. It's all gibberish to me.
Trying to explain gravity, for example.
Exactly. I did. This is gravity, but you're not smart enough to understand it.
Right.
And I had to take that information and go, okay, I don't. Hopefully your encounter is as gentle as mine was, because overall.
Yeah. They were pretty peaceful.
These two were.
Yeah.
And it was made so clear that there's 2 of us. Mm-hmm. You didn't see this one. And they do that for a reason, and I understood they do that for a reason. Because if I was to harm this one, I would have had to deal with number 2. Mm-hmm. But since that wasn't an issue, this is like a family meet and greet. Yeah. And everybody was happy, or everything, or whatever you want to say. You know, it was very enjoyable to me.
Most of the reports that I get with Mindspeak, it's an alpha male. Usually it's like a big male that's able to do the Mindspeak. Now, I don't know if they can all do it. I'm sure they can since they're able to hide so well. And, just know that I do get reports just like yours, but most of the time people are scared to death. It's hunters that ran into a big male in the woods.
Yep.
And it mind spoke to them, and they don't want to come on the channel. So the fact that you did really means a lot, and I just wanted to make sure that people know that you're not the only one. There are a lot of other people that claim they have Mindspeak. And I know a researcher from southern Missouri. He's got a Mindspeak story. He's seen them, but he won't go on film.
It doesn't. You know what?
Tell me. Tell it on the channel, man.
It doesn't scare me. It doesn't bother me. Your opinion, I hope it's a positive one. I hope maybe I help somebody understand that these are as real. If you walked out your back door and walked into one, don't be surprised, because they're here. Mm-hmm. And there's too many documented stories and cases, and if you really want to know, don't stand there and call me a liar or I'm crazy. Let's go out in the woods and we'll find you one. You figure it out for yourself. And I know where they're at. Now that I have Mindspeak, It's like they see you coming. Now they see me coming. They know where I'm at. They know all about me. They know, and I know now that I have a little, I hope I have more intelligence, not less, because that would probably not be a good thing. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
the experience was so positive, I'm using it in a positive way. I'm keeping all channels open. If you wanted my recommendation, just say hello. What's up? Acknowledge. Acknowledge that it exists. And fear in any animal will get you attacked. If you're afraid of a dog, you're going to get bit. If you're afraid of a bear, you're sending out signals. Yeah. And I would, trust me, the fear was the first thing that come to my mind. But I kind of went down this category. Do I need to be afraid? Because I can be really afraid right now. Mm-hmm. Do I need to go to the gun safe? Because the gun safe was right there. I mean, I could have been laying down lead in like seconds. It wasn't necessary. No, we're good. Are you good? Yeah, I'm cool. But they knew that within a flash. It was so fast. This lasted maybe 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. It was just a barrage of all this information. It took me weeks. Still, I'll get a glimmer of, like I said, I was driving out to the highway, and I'll just about bet you there was one off in that property I was talking about, because, here's the headache. Here's Mindspeak. I feel mine. You'll probably feel yours, mm-hmm. I would think. But what was your question again?
I don't even know. I was thinking it's kind of like doing like a flash drive update, like updating your BIOS on your computer.
Well, I think now you're, like we talked about that a little bit. I think you're tagged, and there's a couple other shows that they've talked about that too. You're tagged. You tag, you're it. Yeah. Now, but I think they're checking in. They're going down. I think they just want to make contact. I think they want to have a relationship with humans. They really do. What I took from it is we're a different species of animals, or whatever we are. We just like to sit down and talk to you. And I think that's what this was. Okay, we'll see. It's like I said, man, make yourself at home.
Yeah, they interact and communicate with certain people for some reason.
And now it's a long distance thing. Mm-hmm. So before they had to be right here to communicate. And the last incident I think I had, I hope I'm not inventing, I'm not creating out of imagination, is I think there was one there, and I think it knew I was coming that way. I was in my truck driving up the highway, and it's like, all right, Mindspeak. Yep. And I said hello and drove on my merry little way, but it was a check of some sort, I would think. Oh, it's you. Once I did the Mindspeak, they knew it was me. If that makes sense, the way I understand it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a lot of information. I get it. I get it. It's a lot of information.
Well, I appreciate you for sharing all the information.
Oh, that's all right, man. So
it was a pleasure speaking with you. I thought it was very interesting, and it helps me understand the things that we don't know about these creatures. And I'm very open-minded to any theory or possibility to what these things are truly capable of.
I have so many questions, and I would like to. If you get out, you call me, buddy. I'll go out with you, and you know, I'll just ride it. I'll go.
Maybe we should go down to Lonedale or like Little Indian Creek.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good area. And I feel like these beings will be attracted to you. Like if they're in there, they're going to be like, hey, there's Douglas. Let's go interact.
I think you're right, because they know when somebody that is tagged is, well, because I think they've got something to say.
Yeah.
Is they're trying to communicate going, hey, we got somebody we tagged. It's here. I don't think they're male or female makes any difference to them, but they're going, we tagged this human's in the vicinity, we can communicate and he'll understand. Mm-hmm. I hope I can. I think I can a little bit. I don't think I'm any kind of expert by no stretch. But now that I've worked with it or had it a little bit, I think I understand it a little better.
I heard they're thinking about putting elk at Little Onion Creek, like that area.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, elk was indigenous to Missouri, so was grizzly bears.
Yeah.
You know, everything, you know.
I think they need to put all that stuff back. I know farmers and people will disagree. But
Oh, everybody throw a fit. But it was indigenous, and none of that's happened.
yeah.
None of that's happened. They said the same thing around Ellington when the elk was put back at Peck Ranch. Oh, everybody's going to be running to them with their cars, and it's never happened yet. So.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be breeding like mice. They're not like deer.
Yeah, it's going to take years for sure.
That'll be way off in the distance at best.
I think it'd be cool if they brought bison, moose,
Oh,
elk,
everything, dude.
mountain lions, wolves, everything.
Wouldn't that be neat?
Yeah.
We'd get
I mean, I don't think they're going to be everywhere, but if just certain areas really had populations of them, I think it'd help out. But it's probably too hard to manage that because of like human intervention. Like there's too many people, and it's just we're never going to have the old habitat that used to be here.
Well, no, it's development, encroachments it'll never support any kind of.
No, it'll never be what it used to be.
It'll have to be managed at best, and now you're talking money, manpower, and then money and manpower are just not there. Nobody cares about it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, very few of us hunt anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, I buy a tag regardless if I go hunting or not because it supports conservation. I buy a fishing license every year regardless if I go fishing. It supports conservation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But I support that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, me too, for sure. I'm all about the wildlife, wilderness.
Oh, we
Anything
need more,
that's natural.
definitely.
Yeah.
But I love Indian Creek, man. I like their shooting range. I go out there and shoot quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's a good spot.
In the future, everything's going to be factories, corporations, townhouses, and apartments.
Yeah.
It's going to be rare for people to own property, houses. Like, everyone's going to live in apartments, buildings.
Well, what they call them, 15-minute cities. Mm-hmm. They want everybody. And no, thanks, man. I don't think that wouldn't work for me.
No.
But we've just, we need better land management. We need better animal, and I sure would like to get a handle on these things, man. They're as real as white-tailed deer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And if you run into one, don't be surprised. And do yourself a favor if you do, don't shoot at it. Not going to do you any good. You're not going to kill it. Just going to make it mad.
Even if you do kill it, you know their family
And
members
if
are
you do
somewhere
kill it,
close by.
you're making a mistake.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do, and I'm not.
They'll come back and get you, even if it's 15 years
I
later.
wouldn't want to risk it.
Yeah.
Seeing what I've seen, experience what I've experienced, I wouldn't risk it. I would not risk it. But don't be afraid to be vocal. Scream your ass off. If you got I'm scared. You're scaring me. Get away from me. Shoot in the air if you have to. But if you think you're going to be John Wayne and kill one with your lever action 30-30, you're mistaken because it ain't going to get the job done.
Yeah.
I
My
mean,
philosophy
if you have
is
to,
if this
you
thing's
have to.
charging me, it's coming at me, shoot. But
If you have to, you have to. I get it. I would do the same thing myself, but I would not.
no.
Don't provoke it. Don't provoke at all. Try to communicate. You may be really surprised. You get tagged. You get mind spoke.
Yeah.
And it's all good. To me, it's certainly not a curse. And just like me, man, maybe there's somebody out there that needs to talk about it. Maybe talking about it's going to help you. Because this is what I went through. And like I said, I'll offer it to you. When the dogs are going crazy, barking their heads off, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, right on the dot, and here they come, we'll go out back and introduce you, I guess, because they're still here. They're still here.
They probably know I couldn't handle the Mindspeak. That's probably why they never have with me. They're like, we'll let him see us.
I don't know if I was in the right place doing the right. I don't think that's the case at all. You had to be open. I don't know why. It was Mindspeak. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I was doing. Was I looking forward to it? I think I had a little bit of anticipation. I think that, boy, what if this is Bigfoot?
Right.
maybe they sensed that. I don't know, but it was cool. It was cool. I really did enjoy it, man. I thought it was awesome.
Okay. Well, when this happens again, let me know, and we'll try to set up around here. I'll get my buddy, the Ozark Harry man, who lives not far from here, probably like 15, 20 minutes, and we'll come out here and hang out. He's a good time, so we'll barbecue or something, and
wait for him to show up.
Wait for him to show up. And if they don't, who cares? We can talk about Bigfoot and just hang out. So
well, it's a thing. You can experience what I'll experience, and you'll have to figure it out on your own. How's that?
Yeah.
It probably what happened to me is probably going to happen to you, and I'll leave it up to you to figure out what that was.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
But you're safe as you can possibly be here. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen to them. Nothing's going to happen to you. But I would like to set up, if there's somebody out there that would like to do a study, let's set up some kind of study. Let's research stuff. I want to know. I want to know what this is. I will offer my every opportunity, every resource I got to the cause. I want to know what this is. I think I got a good setup. I think we could make some progress here. I really do.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, cool. Good to meet you, man.
All right. Yeah, nice to meet you.
You too.
I appreciate
it.
You did great.
But anyway, that's my experience. I'm glad to be on the show. I hope I can help. Hello to everybody out there. This is what's going on with me.
All right, so that was a very interesting report, and Douglas seemed to be very adamant about what he experienced, and he was also very kind and genuine. So how can I dismiss these types of experiences that people have, especially when they seem extremely straightforward? And I feel like it's a missing piece to the Sasquatch puzzle. So I'm going to remain open-minded and see what else I can uncover in the future. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone for tuning in today. Thank you, Douglas, for telling your experience with everyone here on the channel. That took a lot of courage. But until the next one, take care, be safe, everyone, and watch your back out in the forest.